Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank to the Secretariat for accepting my Ignite stage application, where I would like to share about adolescent girls and youth adaptive capacity to disaster risk, changing climate, and COVID-19 pandemic in Asia, based on the experience of Plan International. My name is Vanda Lengkong, and I am the Regional Head of Disaster Risk Management for Plan International in Asia Pacific. I would like to start my sharing with asking this question: why it is important to engage adolescent girls and youth in DRR, COVID-19 prevention and recovery, and climate action? You may have a different opinion about this, but I would like to share these three main facts for all of us. According to UNFPA study in June 2021, almost 1 billion young people aged 10 to 24 years living in low and middle income countries in Asia Pacific. This basically representing 23.7% of people in the Asia Pacific and accounting 60% of the world adolescents and young adults. Second, when it comes to the impact of disaster, 1 in 3 children and young people is out of school in the country where affected by war and climate-related disaster. And in many cases, in many parts in the world, in this region, children and young people are often undervalued and underestimated. Not to mention the impact of COVID-19. According to UNICEF in study 2021, schools serving 62 million children have been completely closed due to lockdown during the pandemic. And we can imagine how it is impact the life of the girls, boys, because they cannot able to go to school. And because of the climate change, with increasing the frequency of disaster in this region, extreme weather event and impact are expected to push 100 million people, including girls and boys, young people, back into poverty by 2030 if we are not able to do anything. Last year, Plan International conduct a global survey when we speak to 1,800 adolescent and young people in 37 countries, including number of countries in Asia Pacific, to the young people aged 15 to 24. In this survey, adolescent girls tell us that they are concerned about climate change, but also at the same time, they are taking climate action. In addition to that, they also tell us that they would like to participate in climate policy processes, but they still face barriers and challenges. In one of the study and publication that also Plan International published a few years back about girls' rights in climate strategy. Shockingly, ladies and gentlemen, we found out that less than 2% of national climate strategy mention girls. Even though we know that there are many climate activists, is basically girls, that they already been recognized at the global stakeholder. So what are basically the add value when we are engaging adolescent girls and young people? Maybe you also question about that. Well, I will tell you there are two main add value. Number one, when we are engaging adolescent girls and young people, it is basically an opportunity for strengthening sustainable development and empowering the next generation of leaders to be aware of environmental risk, because they are the future. And this is in line with the Sendai framework for disaster reduction, which recognize the role of children and young people as an agent of change. Second add value, children, girls, boys, and young people, they have capacity, they are very creative, and also innovative. If we are able as adults, able to empower and equip them with sufficient knowledge and provide them with appropriate access to disaster and climate education, it can increase their adaptation capacity by themselves, but also to contribute towards strengthening the resilience of their community. So at least there are three main key roles that I would like to share based on our experience in Plan International. When we are engaging adolescent girls and young people in DRR, COVID-19, and climate action, there are three main roles. Number one, they can take a role as the risk identifier. Second, as a risk communicator. And third one, as innovative agent of change. Let me tell you one by one as an evidence base, share an evidence base from our experience. As risk identifier, look what happened in Indonesia. There are girls and boys from Indonesia learn to identify the climate-related risk in their school using the climate card for children in East Nusa Tenggara, in SOE. The climate card is kind of like a very fun for introducing about climate change, disaster hazard towards children age starting from elementary school to adolescents. And also the girls in Vietnam and boys in Thailand, where they also learn to identify and take a role, identify the disaster hazard and risk in their school using the multi-hazard assessment tools as part of the implementation of one project of Plan International called Child Center Disaster Risk Reduction. With this kind of like activity, we know that they have the capacity to become as the risk identifier. Second, as the risk communicator. There is a concrete example evidence in Philippines and Bangladesh, where young people, adolescent girls, take the lead in orientation, sensitization session about DRR, about climate change, and COVID-19 prevention messages, and promote the importance of inclusion in DRR using different approach, very innovative, including drama, like you see in the Bangladesh, radio streaming in the Philippines, and also to do activity outside and not like outdoor and not in indoor, to really making sure there is an interactive methodology or interactive activities happening between the facilitator as well as those peers, their peers who are as a listener or attending the session. As an effective risk communicator, another example that I would like to share is basically in Bangladesh from our project Inclusive Community-Based Disaster Risk Management. Meet Nayon, a 17-year-old teenager with special needs from Bangladesh. He is now a member of the DRR committee in his village, where he really took a role as an effective communicator to really championing and raising awareness about the importance of engaging all people, including people with disability, elderly, in DRR processes, and as well as in the decision-making. One of his motto is basically no one left behind. And also in Timor Leste and Myanmar, Plan International really partnering with youth organization in the implementation of the multi-hazard project in order to strengthening the capacity of the local civil society and promote meaningful engagement of the youth. We also equip their capacity in project management, how to monitor the project, how to make their proper reporting, but at the same time, they really strengthen their capacity so they can able to take the lead in implementing the project and collaborate with the adult. The third one, as an innovative agent of change. In Indonesia, youth in urban Jakarta initiate an innovative flood early warning system. If you ever visit Indonesia, especially Jakarta, you know that Jakarta as the big city is very prone to flood. So these young people in the urban setting, they really come up with the very simple yet innovative early warning system that to making sure to trigger alarm when there is a flood raise during rainy season. And it will be alarm and remind the community that they need to kind of evacuate to the safer places. The second one is also how the young people in Indonesia provide input to Plan Indonesia when they are developing a comic series on climate crisis. And they done this during the commemoration of the World Humanitarian Day. They provide an input on how to make the comic look interesting, look really colorful, yet also really using the picture that's friendly to children and youth. And this comic series is basically available in Bahasa and English, and really taking one character called Kanaga and tell a story about Kanaga and her friends of the Earth journey in saving the environment. There is a 4th series of this comic, climate crisis comic that you can able to check later on if you are interested. Still, as an innovative agent of change, there is another example from Bangladesh where a youth group is identifying a new way to address the impact of climate change using pre-existing community assets. They support the community in gardening to really support the community with their livelihood and their economy to really adopt with the climate change. In Thailand, Girls are empowered to create ICT-based solution for DRR and CCA. Girls are being trained about ICT to really kind of like address the barrier that's saying that girls will not able to understand technology. So this empowering girls to create ICT-based solution is really one way in Thailand to promote about how girls really take part in ICT. During COVID pandemic, met Shirina is an 18 years old who really come up with her small ideas, but also provide big impact. She know how to sew. During COVID-19, everybody need mask. Sometimes it's very expensive for some people. So she come with her idea to sew a mask by her own and then share and distribute it for the people in neighboring, in her village, so they're able to prevent themselves from the spread of the COVID-19. So small idea, big impact. Another concrete example also comes from the Philippines. We know that how many very exciting, very smart youth activists from the Philippines. Some of them are really take part in really supporting using their social media platform to raising awareness about mental health during the pandemic. And it's a story of Shem, 18 years old, how she is using social media to really raising awareness about this and help to reduce the stigma that people often experience during the pandemic. In addition to that, the youth reporter member in the Philippines produced number of awareness raising material on COVID-19 prevention and really screen it on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter to really raise awareness using social media. We talked about already how their engagement in disaster risk reduction in climate change adaptation. Now the question, can young people and adolescent girls also able to support and contribute in disaster response? The answer is yes. And according to Plan International experience, we saw in Vietnam during Typhoon Famco, how youth group is supporting the distribution of relief kit and promote accountability in humanitarian action. And of course, we did this Plan International assure about their security and safety, as well as the safeguarding policy. And in the Philippines and Nepal, how the youth reporter, we identify number of young people, boys and girls. We train them on how to use camera, how to use mobile phone in order to monitor and reporting, collect stories, collect footage from the community in order to share feedback and to publish the documentation about the ongoing response, really to promote the accountability. We also believe, and we really have a concrete example how the youth reporter help bridge their peer community with the humanitarian actor and government agency. For more stories, guidelines, toolkit to engage and youth, in particular girls, Plan International have published this number of publications that available in our website for those who are interested. It's our knowledge management, the child-friendly feedback mechanism, the youth reporter toolkit, the youth leadership in climate policy on how to equip young people to be already engaged in climate policy discussion and decision-making, as well as the children's climate card. So I would like to conclude my sharing with sharing these main few points. For Plan International, we believe that all children and youth, in particular girls, should enjoy full and equal access to their right, and this should not be hindered and the threat by the climate change. We have to ensure that we are upholding their rights to strengthening the meaningful participation in the RR processes, and this should become a priority. For Plan International, we will continue to support girls, boys, and youth to understand disaster risk, climate change, and impact and how they can adapt, but also at the same time, encourage them to take lead on climate action and adaptation in their countries and community. So what about yours? That's why I would like to end up my sharing with some recommendation for all stakeholders who are attending this global platform for DRR 2022 in Bali. If you would like to support adolescent girls and young people, please do these 4 main activities. Number 1, protect girls and youth education and invest on it. Allocate funding. Second, let's continue support girls and youth leadership in DRR and climate action. And the third one, involve them in decision-making process. It's not enough to only involve them in the planning and the implementation. They should be involved in decision-making because the future is belong to them. We have to invest, we have to let them be part of the decision-making process. And lastly, for Better Today, provide equal economic opportunity for girls and young people. By doing so, we will be able to contribute to create a meaningful participation and access for them to really claim their right. Thank you very much. And let's support plan. Let's all of us together ensure to support girls and young people. Let's ensure girls and young people get equal. For more information, you can able to contact me as well as visit Plan International website. Thank you very much.